Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cointelegraph China's Focus Interview. I'm your host today, Ting from Cointelegraph China, Editor-in-Chief. Today with us, we have one of the earliest, first ever NFTs, early as 2017. Enjin, the co-founder and the CTO, Witek Radomski with us. And he's also the author of ERC 1155, the Advanced Ethereum Tokens Standard that enables developers to deploy both fungible and non-fungible items in a single smart contract. And we're really happy to have you here, Witek, to give us the exclusive interview of what you're building here. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be on.
Yeah, before we get started, I'd like to know more about you. What's your involvement of Enjin? How did you get started? And yeah, it'd be great to hear the story of how you built this NFT platform so early on.
Sure. Well, we've actually been around for quite a while. We've been a company for over 13 years now. We started off in the gaming space and we built a platform for like a social network and website building platform for gamers. And so we attracted up to 20 million users were on the platform. We had people playing World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy and Minecraft and all these popular online games, forming groups together. And they started doing things like getting donations inside their games. So we provided some tools that they could plug into their games, and this blew up. It was so popular with gamers. We had like 250,000 communities that were using across hundreds of different games. So we started looking at blockchain because we realized there was a lot of issues with how people treat ownership. Games would get shut down, people would lose their items. There's all kinds of problems where people would shut down a server and lose things. And we realized that this is a really interesting opportunity to build kind of a new paradigm in the gaming space where people could own their items using blockchain. And so we started writing some code. We started messing around with Ethereum in 2017, and we came up with some of the first NFTs in the world. We made the first NFT platform for game developers to actually integrate the tokens into their games. So fast forward now, we released Enjin Coin. It's been popular with a community of adopters, some game developers, and we've also partnered with companies like Microsoft, Samsung, and many others. And so now we realize that there's an onboarding problem and there's a mainstream adoption problem. Mm-hmm. So we started looking at what the main issues were. We realized that game developers are scared of using the technology because it's difficult to use Ethereum. It's expensive to use Ethereum. And we started building Affinity to actually solve this.
I see. Is that the main challenges that facing NFTs at the moment?
Yeah, so there's a lot of pain points, like there's a lot of frictions. So when you're a gamer, you want to be able to play your game. You want to put it on your mobile phone or your tablet or your console or PC and start playing. You don't want to have to go install crypto wallets, back up a seed phrase, go onto an exchange and start buying crypto before you can start playing your game, right? So we realized that we had to build a new blockchain, a parachain, to actually solve these issues. I mean, just the cost of transferring an NFT could be $10, $20 or more in some cases. If you're making a game and you want to sell something that costs $10, it's going to be very difficult to do that on Ethereum. And even just onboarding users is a massive difficulty. You don't want to install these sort of open source wallets and difficult things and backup seed phrases. The moment you start doing that, you lose 95% of players. So we want the experience to be like a real modern experience. You start playing the game. You basically receive items. You can start trading them. You don't even know you're using blockchain in the background. But when you want to take ownership, then you basically then you can go install a wallet, hook up your identity, and now you have those items forever for thousands of years. You know, they'll stay on your digital identity. Everyone is actually participating in this digital universe that's growing, and it's called the metaverse now, right? I mean, Facebook came out and said they're going to be part of the metaverse because they know this is the future of digital interaction. So we want to make this super easy for people to use in the decentralized crypto space.
Mm-hmm. You let's go back to one question though. Like you're the writer, you're the author of this non-fungible token called ERC 1155, and what inspired you to come up with this? You know, to develop for this.
So when I started looking at Ethereum in 2017, I started seeing that people were developing tokens. Various token standards were made for fungibles. So ERC20 was the first one. Obviously, that's it's just made for a currency. And we thought, can we use ERC20? We didn't see any way to use that for game items. At the time, there was no ERC 721. There were some people doing some extensions to ERC20, but it was very, very early in the space. So we thought, what does a game need? And what does a business need? And what does a supply chain need? They might need some fungible things. They might need some currencies, and they might also need some unique collectible NFTs. We also looked at, how can we make this efficient? You don't want to send one NFT at a time. Imagine if you went to a grocery store and you're buying your apples and your bananas and your meat, and every time you check out, you have to put your credit card in every single time for every item. That's kind of how it is with ERC 721. It's really cumbersome. So with our standard, it allows you to transfer whole batches of tokens all at once. It's designed to be like a vending machine for tokens. You can make any kind of token you want. We spent 1 year building this with the whole Ethereum community. We had hundreds and hundreds of comments. We refined it, made it super extensible. And now all the major marketplaces in the world support ERC 1155, and it's kind of the most efficient standard.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned about the new NFT blockchain earlier called Affinity. And can you tell us more about how does it work?
Sure. So we're building Affinity on Polkadot. If you don't know what Polkadot is, it is the next gen parachain. It's developed by Gavin Wood. He is actually one of the inventors of Ethereum. He was a co-founder of Ethereum. He wrote the Solidity programming language for smart contracts, which all the smart contracts use today. 5 years ago, he went and started working on Polkadot because he realized that there's going to be a lot of friction and a lot of problems. And he saw this vision of an internet of blockchains. So the cool thing about Polkadot is we can have all these different blockchains that have custom abilities. You can have one that's focused on DeFi. You can have one that's focused on NFTs. And that's what we're building at Affinity. We're building a chain that has NFTs natively built into its fabric. The economy is based on NFTs. We have a marketplace toolkit as part of the chain. So it's not going to be a website that's kind of centralized and it takes its own fees to run the website. It's actually going to be anyone can develop a marketplace on Affinity. Anyone can be part of the network and get rewards for doing even things like predicting prices on an item. Like if you have some game items that are popular, you might say these are worth $300 or $1,000. And by participating in the network, you're going to actually gain rewards. So it's really focused on NFTs, and it's focused on making it easy for game developers to use them, for players to use them. We're building this in collaboration with Parity, with the guys who built Polkadot. We're going to be launching a parachain. It's a really exciting time to be part of this ecosystem.
Nice. And you will have this announcement pretty soon, I presume.
Yeah, so yeah, we actually just announced now that we're going to be launching a parachain, and we've already been testing internally in an alpha. So we have a new smart contract. We have a new token standard we're building. That's basically, it'll make Affinity a fully interoperable parachain. So it'll work with Ethereum. It'll work with Binance Smart Chain. It'll work with any chain that wants to connect to Affinity. It'll be this NFT highway.
Mm-hmm. What you mentioned, one of the features is prediction of NFTs. So is Oracle on NFT going to be the next trends in the NFT marketplace, or what are some of the trends they can share with us of where this market is going to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not even an oracle. It's kind of an oracle, but it's a fully decentralized like super oracle, which kind of helps people determine what the price of an NFT is. And it's fully market based. So you can basically say, I believe this is worth X. And somebody says, I believe this is worth Y. And they have to basically, they have to be willing to buy that item at that price. But that incentivizes everybody to price all items on the market. So even if it's an item that's worth $5, people are going to have an incentive to say, you know what, I think it's worth $5.50 because I would buy it for $5.50. That's going to solve this long tail that, like, all these game items that no one really knows what they're worth. You have all these items on these marketplaces. There's not a lot of sales history for most of them. This will solve it by giving people a mechanism to predict prices for these items. So that's solving one of the problems. I think we're going to set the trend here because we noticed this, and it's going to be used in games, and people are going to actually want these items for utility in the game. So it's really interesting.
Are you a gamer yourself?
Yes, I've been a gamer all my life, ever since I was probably 4 years old. I got my first games on an old DOS computer running MS-DOS, and yeah, I've been gaming all the time, nonstop.
Wow. What is it like to be a gamer and building the metaverse?
Well, I mean, I've wanted to see this happen ever since we started Enjin, and I see, like, there's so many components of gaming. There's the social aspect, there's the competition aspect of gaming, there's the risk, like risking something, risking dying, or risking maybe your assets, like with NFTs. And I want to see more and more, like I want to see collaboration between players. I want to see creativity and a creator economy in games. And games are fun, right? This is like the way for people to understand how to use blockchain and make all these economies. I think it's a lot more fun than trading on an exchange, like to actually be playing in a game and having these items that are 3D and cool and have attributes, and you can use them, not just sort of trade them.
Mm-hmm. And what's your vision? Oh, what's personally, like, how do you see where metaverse is gonna be like in the future?
So, as humanity, I think it's our responsibility to try to build the metaverse in a decentralized, fair way. Blockchain is kind of political because you have all these different factions believing, I want finance to work in this way. I think it works this way. So that's why we have all these chains. Even in Bitcoin, you have various factions competing. So, Facebook, for example, they're building the centralized metaverse where, it's going to be Facebook, they're going to have Oculus, they're going to have these APIs on their end, and then they want the games to plug in there and be part of probably their shop system and things like that. They've mentioned wanting to do some crypto, but I still think that they want to keep that stranglehold on their economy. So they're going to be a big part of the metaverse, but I think we need the decentralized metaverse as well, because people obviously want freedom. They need the ability to make their own decisions. They don't want to be banned from maybe even making a game that the store doesn't agree with, right? Like we saw recently that Steam banned NFTs. Now no one can put a blockchain game on Steam. That's why decentralization is so important, right? People need autonomy. Gamers need to be able to participate in the metaverse on their terms. Like in the end, it's their identity. It's your personal identity. It's your assets. It's your character, your history, your time spent in these games. So people are gonna need that decentralized aspect for actually having some freedom.
Mm-hmm. So you believe that metaverse should be decentralized and not?
Totally. Yeah,
Okay.
should be the catchphrase. Metaverse should be decentralized.
Uh-huh. And what kind of technologies that would be needing to build this decentralized metaverse?
So again, I think it's about building a really core usable blockchain that is focused around NFTs. there's all these different blockchains that are, generic smart contract platforms or really good trading systems, but we need something that benefits people who just want to make NFTs, use NFTs, right? And so that's, it has to be cheap, it has to be easy to use, it has to be able to make millions and hundreds of millions of NFTs very easily. The other thing is user experience. We want it to be super simple. Like there's a lot of open source kind of anarchy development happening, many different wallets, and that's great. But I think the people who bring it to users in a clear fashion with a beautiful wallet, a beautiful marketplace, and then really easy to use tools by developers, that's going to get traction. So we need those things happening. And that's what we're trying to do at Enjin.
Right. And let's talk about the users acquisition here too. Like what would be your strategy, user acquisition strategy of moving them from layer one solution to the NFT blockchain that you're building in Infinity?
Yeah, there's a number of things that go into our strategy. So firstly, we're an ecosystem, so we're bringing in companies, game developers, and those guys that are building real games that people want to play, they're going to bring in their users, right? So that's really the ecosystem building part is huge. That's the main thing our team is focusing on to bring in users. We also have this marketplace and price discovery component to Affinity, where if somebody predicts a price for your NFT and is willing to pay that price, let's say this is going to work cross-chain. So you might have a CryptoKitty on Ethereum, you might have an Axie on another chain, you might have something on Binance or some other chain. If somebody wants to pay a good price for it on Affinity, there's liquidity there. So that person will be incentivized to come onto Affinity and then, complete that transaction. So having this cross-chain interoperable aspect, not locking someone down into a walled garden, that is so critical. It's people's identity. We're trying to give them their full control over their identity. They can take their items to any chain they want. We're going to build open standards, collaborate with all the parachains and all the other blockchains and make this happen. So that's going to be key.
Curious to know that you're saying it's cross-chain is possible. Now, I've also read your next step is to put this to connect your platform with OpenSea, where maybe traders who are listing their NFTs on Solana can also trade their NFTs. And is that the case for?
Yeah, so we want Affinity to work basically cross-chain. We want it to work with all NFT formats, especially ERC 721, ERC 1155, and ERC 20s will work as well, obviously. And then we have our paratoken standard, which basically is backwards and forwards compatible with all NFTs. So you can make a token on Affinity, you can list it on OpenSea, you can list it on any marketplace you want, or NFT.io, our marketplace that we're going to be putting out as well. So people will have the flexibility to do whatever they want.
Okay. You also have a native token, and how would that affect the native token after the launch of Infinity?
So we actually have two tokens. One is Enjin Coin, which has been around for 4 years now. And that original purpose of it was to infuse Enjin Coin into an NFT. So when a gamer has like a golden sword, that slays undead, zombies, that sword can actually have a value of Enjin Coin infused into it. Now, this was because we want items to actually have some value. Like if you have a real world item, it could be made of actual gold, right? And then you can melt it and, actually have the gold value of it. So we have that same concept in tokens. Game developers with early games can infuse them with Enjin Coin. And now people who support the game, support the ecosystem, support all of Enjin's vision will have those Enjin Coins grow. Now, the other use of Enjin Coin is actually going to be for Affinity. We have over 100,000 people who own Enjin Coin. And they will, by owning any NFT of any game, they will actually be voting for the people who run the Affinity network. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Like all these people with all these, millions of NFTs, they will in the background be voting and running the network with their wallets. So that's Enjin Coin. Now we also have a new coin called EFI. And the purpose of that is integral inside Affinity. So it's going to be used for rewards all throughout the network. It's used for transaction fees. You can also stake it inside the Affinity network and get big discounts. I think game developers will want to buy some EFI. They want to stake it in a fuel tank, and then they're going to have a lot of discounts because their users of that game are now going to be able to do transactions using that EFI. It's also going to be used for governance, all the things that we need, all that economy inside the network. That's what EFI is for.
Mm-hmm. So can I understand that Affinity is a kind of like a launch pad for NFT projects, or how would you?
You can think of it that way. Yeah. So it's really just the network that people use. You want to create a game. You don't want to develop your own blockchain. Like game developers have enough things to worry about. I'm talking about real, game developers developing, things like first-person shooters, MMORPG games, mobile games. They just want to have something work. So we've developed Affinity in that philosophy that they should be able to onboard users quickly, create their projects, create their tokens easily. And then if they want to extend them, they have the Ink smart contract language to build extensions like custom functionality, but all the core NFT functionalities right baked into the fabric of the chain.
Mm-hmm. And who is your biggest competitor here in the market?
I mean, we're quite unique. We can consistently offer value that a lot of chains haven't even thought of, because we have this long-term vision, right? There's a lot of things we're trying to do. We have people building in the game ecosystem. I mean, I can mention a whole bunch of names. There's different categories. There's like game metaverses like Decentraland and all these kind of guys. There's these layer 2 scaling like Polygon and Immutable and all these kind of guys that are trying to build off of Ethereum. There's the Dapper Labs and those kind of completely separate blockchains. They all have problems like, for example, the layer 2s are kind of limited by Ethereum. They're limited by that smart contract design. And we believe now that the smart contract philosophy, it's good for developing interesting new ideas and interesting new crypto apps. But when you're trying to build a super efficient highway for NFTs, it's not going to work very well because you have to do all these things like approving, installing wallets, making approvals. The smart contracts have to be super paranoid, and it makes it super expensive to use. And all these resources are competing on chain to do that. So you're locked into that smart contract philosophy. Even if layer 2s make it cheaper, they're still going to face, having to be locked to Ethereum. Some of the other competitors, they're developing their own programming languages, for example. What the advantage we have with Polkadot is it's built in Rust that has a huge developer community. Every programmer I've talked to loves developing in Rust and wants to develop in Rust as much as they can. So it's also building a whole network, an internet of blockchains. So it's a community, it's an ecosystem already, as we see with all the parachains launching on Kusama and Polkadot. So, I think we're in a really unique position. We have, a lot of history in the blockchain space. We're consistently putting out new, interesting ideas that game developers want to use, and we're using the feedback from them to basically build our products.
There's a lot of other projects building on Polkadot too. How would this impact your launch of the Affinity on Polkadot, affect the whole ecosystem?
Well, the Polkadot ecosystem is really cool. The projects are, early in the space, and they're really nice people. We've talked to a bunch of them. They're going to be helping us, review the paratoken standard that we're putting out. But obviously, there's this auction component, right? On Polkadot, every parachain has to compete for an auction to get a slot of the chain, to get a slot of that relay chain. So we're competing in the first batch. We intend to get auction number 4. So we want slot number 4. We're going to put all our ducks in a row and push as hard as possible to get auction number 4. There are other chains. I've actually spoken to some earlier today. There's a Kala, Moonbeam, a whole bunch of other guys who are competing on various slots in the auctions. We think that we have, being the first NFT highway on Polkadot is huge for us. And we have so many contributions. We have a huge community. I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of users on Twitter. We have hundreds of thousands of users holding our coins. We have millions of users using the Enjin wallet. So we have a lot of resources to tap into. So we're not really concerned. We're very sure we're going to be getting a chain.
Cool. And also recently, you guys have announced 100 million Affinity Metaverse Fund. So what's the purpose of this fund, and what are you looking for with this money?
So we want projects. We want you, if you're building a game, anything that uses NFTs, kind of collectibles project, anything that like certifications or rewards, building anything that connects the physical and digital worlds. We want projects, interesting, unique projects that want to use the Enjin ecosystem and the Affinity blockchain. So we have this fund. I know a lot of indie developers, they need some help initially to get some funding. They're building a lot of interesting things. So our team is going to be talking to a lot of projects in the space and games that haven't even considered blockchain. And we're going to say, this game looks like it could use blockchain. So, we have a fund. How about you work with us and we'll provide support, development support, funding, bringing them into the Enjin ecosystem. We're going to be aggressively pushing this next year.
Wow, that's you're pushing this direction really strong here.
Yeah, I mean, we've built the technology. We spent 4 years building all these tools for the end-to-end experience. Now it's time to open the floodgates and bring all the projects in. So Affinity is going to launch, and we're already talking with so many organizations, larger games, larger enterprises who are ready to use it as soon as the parachain is live and as soon as the tools are open for them.
Cool. We're looking forward to that. And my last question here for you is, what is your prediction of cryptocurrency? What is it going to look like in the near future? We've been talking about NFT and Metaverse a bit too. Your prediction is Metaverse should be more decentralized other than centralized. So I'd like to hear your prediction of where this whole industry is heading to.
Yeah, well, think about where humans are going. After the COVID, pandemic, we've all started spending a lot more time online. I didn't think it was possible, but we did. Gaming has started exploding even more. We all put so many thousands of hours into our digital devices, our digital identities. Even when you're using social networks, it's your digital persona. If your account on social media gets banned, that could affect your livelihood, your social interactions. So we need decentralization because people need control. People need to have at least the control of their digital persona. That's your digital, person walking around in the digital world. And so, we're going to see VR devices come out, and more and more VR and AR devices where it's easy to use. It's not like you're boxing yourself into a virtual world and you can't see anything around you. You can put on some glasses. You'll be able to see your notifications, see your trading, whatever you're doing, and interact with the real world. There's going to be better voice assistants, better AI. There's going to be a lot more digital in every part of our lives. So, and we're seeing brands, we're talking to so many different brands and enterprises that need this integrated. They're dropping their legacy systems, and they realize people want these, NFTs. They want digital representations, even the physical things that they buy, whether it's fashion, whether it's video games, whether it's sports. So that's just going to be infused over the next 10, 15 years. We're going to see this take over the world. And we want to be helping build this in a responsible way, right? There's many people building in different directions. Our vision is long term. So I think it's going to be interesting. As long as people come together, build it the right way, then we can compete in a future world where there's, you know, AIs and all kinds of parties with all kinds of different interests. You'll still have your digital persona, digital identity preserved.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the centralized system that we're using, especially the social medias, we are putting a lot of our data to a centralized platform. How would this decentralized metaverse help solving that problem of protecting our privacy, our data?
Well, I've even experienced this myself. I mean, I've been, like I said, I was gaming since I was a child, and I started on a lot of the old first online games that were around 20 years ago or more. And a lot of those games are completely offline now. All that time, all those friends I had, all those characters I built. I mean, I'd love to have those available right now to even just for nostalgia factor. But you know, they were my time, they're my identity, I have my history there. A lot of social networks I was part of, all that stuff has been wiped out and deleted. So just that fact of preserving that history forever is really important to people. And then we've seen so many different centralized platforms, you know, deplatform people that have an interesting message to share, right? And with blockchain, we can actually let people do that on their own terms. It's creating a contract with you know the network, not with a centralized party. So yeah, it's what people need, what people want, and I'm really excited to be part of that.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. And we're looking forward to the, you know, the release of Affinity and your vision of metaverse. And thank you so much for being part of this industry and contribute. And it's an exciting age to come.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.